post-game, 8:01 Eastern here in the evening hours of Sunday, October 5th. The Ravens are on the brink, and their season is hanging on by a thread after being walloped by the Houston Texans on their home turf, 44-10, in what has become one of the worst losses, not only in the John Harbaugh era, but in the entire Ravens organization's era, which dates back, of course, to 1996. Welcome into the post-game show. I'm Bobby Trosset. Today is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. You can scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner if you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle. We'll get to more of that in just a bit. If you want to share a thought with me tonight, the post-game live access link is open. Share a thought with me. Let me know where you're at right now, leading into week 6, where the Ravens sit 1-4, not knowing what Lamar Jackson's timeline is, not knowing what a boatload of other key players' timelines are, and being still 1 week away from their early bye, which is week 7. They'll then host the Chicago Bears after that. But none of that may matter, guys, because the organization right now, the product that this organization is putting out on the field, I get it. They are banged up. But quite frankly, this was a very similar product. We saw signs of this type of product prior to them being decimated with injuries the way they are right now. And I think, and I am very much ready and am receptive to sweeping changes in Baltimore. And I think it starts with the head coach. I don't know if Steve Bisciotti would pull the plug on John Harbaugh, who's the second longest tenured head coach currently in the National Football League, behind, of course, Mike Tomlin, who was hired in Pittsburgh the year prior. But what I do know is it may be one of the only things that's still left out there in terms of options on the table that will give this organization, give all three phases the jolt that they may need right now to potentially salvage this season. I have no idea whether or not this season is salvageable. But what I do know is it's hanging on by a thread. And while I can't say that the Ravens have lost their locker room and that John Harbaugh has lost his locker room, because I'm not in that locker room, there are suggestions, there have been press conferences, and there have been tape that suggests that may be the case, that suggests that his messaging, along with his staff's messaging, have grown old and stale. And I don't know if those on the other end of that messaging, meaning his players, are truly bought in to what's going on in Baltimore right now. And so, for the first time, we've acknowledged it a lot. We've criticized it. We've gone back and forth on trying to explain it and make sense of the state of this Ravens organization, whether it was the first 10 weeks as a passing defense last year, whether it was falling short in inexplicable fashion from a strategy standpoint in the AFC Championship, whether it was well earlier in the Lamar era, this inability to stay healthy, which ultimately caused sweeping change in the strength and conditioning department. You name it. I'm finally ready to address that change, and I hope that Steve Bisciotti is giving serious consideration to it, because this is a very temporary moment in time. You have a sub-30-year-old superstar at quarterback. You've got a future Hall of Fame running back and a lot of core pieces that are under contract for the foreseeable future, yet a defense that's led by one of the youngest defensive coordinators in this league. While you can't point to one specific thing, I think that's the exact point. You can point to a number of things that are leading to a bare bottom defense right now that you simply cannot trust. I got news for you guys. And I take absolutely no it gives me no pleasure to say this, both from calling for sweeping change standpoint, and had Lamar Jackson been out there today, the outcome wouldn't have been different. They would have hung a few more points up there. I don't think the outcome would have been different. I really don't. And I feel the same exact way had he not been injured and exited the fourth quarter of last week in Kansas City. There are far greater problems on all three phases right now with this organization than whether or not Lamar is available. Clearly, that is a massive, significant setback that QB1. They're now 3-10, when Lamar is not available for them throughout the Lamar era. I'm not downplaying that. I'm talking about in order to get to where they want to be viewed and respected and acknowledged as a Super Bowl contender, there are far greater issues, underlying issues right now on all three phases than Lamar Jackson's availability. Now, this team goes as Lamar goes. Don't get me wrong. But I think you know what I'm talking about in terms of getting to where you want to go. They were one game away from doing exactly that a couple years ago, and they flat out got out-coached, out-executed, outperformed, and perhaps out-bullied on their home turf, something that apparently is becoming somewhat of a trend. And, of course, that was against the Kansas City Chiefs 2 years ago in an AFC championship game. This is where I'm at. Again, it gives me really and brings me no joy to speak with this kind of conviction, but I'm finally there, and I think the Ravens need to make a change, and they need to make a change quickly. I don't know whether or not Steve Bisciotti would pull the plug during the bye week. At the very least, Chuck Pagano should be taking over defensive play calling duties for the rest of the way. If Chuck's not interested in doing so because that's not what he signed up for coming to Baltimore, and he wants to continue to be an assistant to John Harbaugh, he wants to continue to coach the secondary, great. Go ask Tyler Santucci if he's ready to be promoted in season, right? They plucked him for a reason from the college ranks. And he's highly regarded as a potential up-and-coming future defensive coordinator, maybe even a future head coach at one point. Heck, go grab Dean Pease, even though he kind of was like, hey, I don't want to be as involved as I was last year, so I'm going to go be a consultant instead. Well, Dean, you got 12 games in you? Because the Ravens need all that they can get. And that's at the very least of what they need to do. Guys, at some point, when you're the owner of a professional sports organization, the way that Steve Bisciotti is, and by the way, they have had a tremendous amount of success together, have John Harbaugh and Steve Bisciotti. At some point, the business side of things start creeping in. M&T Bank Stadium was barren midway through the third quarter. The CBS broadcast kept cutting to different angles. Guys, these angles would suggest that it was halftime. Yet they weren't even halfway through the third quarter, and folks were leaving the bank in droves on a beautiful high 70s, no clouds, no rain, very little wind October day. And that place was leaving in droves. Oceans writes, if Harbaugh doesn't want to fire Orr, he should go too. First super chat of, I'm sure, many as you guys start to leak in to the post-game of the post-game. Sarah and I wrapped up about an hour ago. I'm going to go for another hour plus. The guest lines are open. I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Oceans, for getting us started in the super chat side of things. At some point, this business does creep in here. And if this is the product that the Ravens are putting on the field, Ravens fans don't want to watch that product. I saw a few tweets out there as well, either from the media corps or people that were in attendance. They felt like people just didn't show up to begin with because they knew they had a hunch as to what they were signing up for. And look, it doesn't go unnoticed that this team is decimated right now. This team has major availability issues. They were without Roquan Smith and will be for the foreseeable future. They were without their CB3, Chido Awuzie, who's played some good football for them so far. They were, of course, without Lamar that makes this entire thing go. That meant that Cooper Rush made his first career start as a Raven. Pat Ricard, his timetable continues to be very uncertain and murky with that lingering calf. The run game suffers because of it. Not just because of it, but in part because of no Pat Ricard. No Marlon Humphrey out there for the foreseeable future. And maybe the biggest lost outside of Lamar, especially if you were Cooper Rush, Ronnie Stanley, leaving Joe Noteboom and Roger Rosengarten to deal with a couple of those really difficult ends in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., who feasted early and often on this Ravens offensive line. It's an offensive line that, yes, is banged up on the left-hand side. I know Tyler was banged up this week, but let's be clear, very clear. This was an offensive line that was not constructed effectively from a front office perspective. One thing about today's live stream that you're going to get is, while we're holding the head coach ultimately accountable, there are multiple members within the framework of this ownership group and the framework of stakeholders in Baltimore that all deserve to face accountability when it comes to their shortcomings so far. There are a lot of great people involved in this organization. John Harbaugh is one of them. But just because these people are awesome and great and accomplished doesn't mean, right, that they're above this type of criticism. And so I hope that those of you that are out there that have a difficult time hearing this type of criticism, this type of critique, this type of harshness can see both, right? My love and admiration for a lot of these folks some of which I know personally from my time covering the team, and also the results, because it's a results-driven business. And ultimately, the Ravens' results have been subpar, below standard, below organizational principle. And I think it's time for heads to roll as a result. Edwin Rice says, hate to admit it, but my son and I were two of many who sat in the lower bowl and left after Texans went up 31-3. The team showed no fight, no passion, no nothing. Disgusted as a fan, time for change. This right here is what I'm talking about when it comes to the potential difficult decision that looms for Steve Bisciotti. At some point, it does become a business. It's always a business, let's be clear. But you have to cater to this fan base. And the product, you don't have to quiver to this fan base. You don't have to kneel down, lay down to this fan base. But ultimately, they are the ones that make this thing go. They're the ones that put their butts in seats. They're the ones that make this a thing across the entire National Football League and really the entire sports world at large. This right here from Edwin, while it almost ashames you, right, Edwin, to admit that you were one of the ones that left, can anybody blame you? Can anybody blame you? You know, Mark Andrews, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, unfortunately had a drop today, bobbled a football that was not accurately targeted there by Cooper Rush and resulted in an interception, one of many today. He said something this week, as any leader would, but I have to check him on it. And he said, we're a bunch of fighters. Edwin, I think you and your son would say otherwise based on what you watched unfold today at M&T Bank Stadium. And that is very, very un-Raven-like. What is also very un-Raven-like is what they allowed the Houston Texans offense to do to them today. The 25th ranked overall group is what DeMeco Ryans brought into Baltimore today from an offensive perspective. They have not been good. They have not been able to consistently move the ball. And CJ Stroud has struggled in year 3. Anything but today. CJ might be looked at as a goddamn MVP candidate when it's all said and done after today. He accounted for, I got his numbers right here. He's 23 of 27, 244 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 143.9. Oh, by the way, CJ, who joked about some of his speed at 23 earlier this week, made headlines about where he is right now physically at this point in his career. He ran for the longest of his NFL career. 1 rush for 30 yards on this Ravens defense, which laid down early and laid down often. 44 total points, guys, were surrendered. 417 total yards of offense for Houston. 6.3 yards per play. 7 for 12 on third down. And they beat the Ravens at their own game in the time of possession. Plus 13. And as I summarized, injuries or no injuries is pretty clear. Today was a colossal failure on a number of levels. And it was all too familiar based on what we'd seen at times in that second half against the Chiefs and at times even against the Detroit Lions. And of course, for a few minutes of that fourth quarter dating back to week 1. And guys, this thing was over at the half, much like it felt a week ago, even though the score wasn't as lopsided as it was today in Kansas City last week. It was a first half to forget. They surrendered 24 points, 228, by the way, of those. What did I tell you? 417 total yards of offense. Yeah, 228 of those came in the first half. The Ravens ran just 19 plays offensively. 19. And 92 yards was all they had to account for after 2 quarters. Derrick Henry, nothing doing all game long, running behind that offensive line that gets no push, does not maul people, does not knock people back, right? Has misplaced hand-type technique under George Warhop. It's not good enough. Their guard play is not good enough. They sorely miss Ronnie Stanley. Joe Noteboom is not Ronnie Stanley. Their guard play is atrocious. 8 yards on 6 carries for the King. And yet again, the Ravens as a team, for I think the third consecutive week, the third week total this year, you have to check me on that, through 5 weeks, under 100 yards rushing as a team. And it was well under 100 yards, 44 to be exact. They had several pre-snap penalties. Guys, they finished with, I want to say it was 9. I had the final count right here. 9 penalties, which negated 49 yards. Tyler Loop, who'd been exceptional up until this point, right at the end of the half, missed from 55. Was the least of their worries. And again, the fight or lack thereof is what's so concerning about this organization. And I think that's what leads you to believe that this locker room indeed might very well be lost. That's what it brings you to that point. When you see the lack of fight, when you see the lack of discipline, it brings you down that path. A quick word from Prophet X.
The NFL is back, and with Prophet X, you don't just play. You trade, call your own shots, and outsmart the crowd. It's not you versus the house. It's you versus everyone else on America's #1 sports prediction market. Request your own odds and win real money predicting spreads, totals, and player props so you can earn more and risk less. Play free, play smart, play your way with ProfitX.co. Available in over 40 states. Now available on Apple and Android.
Thanks to Prophet X for the continued support of the program. ProfitX.co is where you can go. And if you use promo code BobbyB, that's BOBBYB, you'll get up to $200 in profit cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Again, that is ProfitX.co, promo code BobbyB. You'll get up to $200 in profit cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Thanks to them for their continued support of the show. On to the Ravens defense. More related to the Ravens defense. Guys, they have allowed 177 points through week 5. That is dead last across the National Football League. And in about 24 hours or so, we will get updates in terms of where they rank categorically throughout the league defensively. And I think we all know that it will be either dead last or around the bottom third in the league in most categories. In the entire 2020 season, you know what I mean by 2020, the entire 2000 season. Of course, this was a historic season, so you hate to play the comparison game. But I think it just shows you the fall from grace. 165 points is what they allowed all of the 2000 season. That's combined, guys. The entire 2000 season. 165 combined points allowed. Excuse me, as I hiccup. They've allowed 177 through 5 weeks. Look at Sarah's in-game tweet. What does this defense do well right now? I guess, to be petty, I guess they take gifts. They like to receive gifts. You know, some people, when it comes to holidays and whatnot, birthdays, you name it, some people aren't good receivers of gifts. They get awkward. They don't know how to properly celebrate. I guess the Ravens are good at receiving gifts because Kyle Van Noy received one in the first half. That missed coverage assignment, which allowed him to go unblocked and get his first sack of the season, or second maybe. I don't even know where he's at right now. Might be his first. He missed the last 2 games. And a clean shot of CJ Stroud. Sometimes people can be good receivers of gifts, I guess, and that's where the Ravens are. But aside from that, what does this team do well defensively? John Harbaugh asked a specific question by Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic earlier this afternoon.
Changes on the with Zach or the defensive staff?
Yeah, you try to do the most productive things, and I do not think that that's the answer. So we got to go to work is what we need to do. We need to stick together is what we need to do, and we need to find ourselves. And that has to do with coaches and players together.
John Harbaugh, yet again, in his defense, his ongoing defense, that is, of Zach Orr, was defiant almost, as you heard there with his tone. I do not think that's the answer. Great question by Jeff. We got to go to work is what we need to do. We need to stick together is what we need to do. We need to find ourselves, and that has to do with coaches and players together. We need to find ourselves. We got to go to work. We need to stick together. While that is admirable in some cases, it's old news. And at this point, it is stale news and a stale message coming from a coach that could very well be on life support here when it comes to his job security. Captain Hard writes, Bobby, that's coaching. That's the sad truth. The defense isn't even NFL bad. 1 punt in 7 quarters. This is high school play. More from Jeff Zrebiec, who, again, not only asked John that difficult question, but commented on where things are right now historically in game. He wrote, even when the Ravens have been undermanned in the past under Harbaugh, they've at least showed some fight and some pushback. They're showing none of that today. Guys, this is damning. This is an indictment. And speaking of indictment, I thought that the one that got a lot of run back in July needs to get a lot of run again. Because Marlon Humphrey's comments, for the worst reasons, are aging like fine wine. Let's go back to July during one of his press conferences. Keep in mind, this is coming from the longest tenured defensive Raven.
Try to stay away from expectations for the most part. I think NFL is just, I don't think you can really predict what is going to happen. You just kind of try to put your head down and work. I know when I first got here, obviously the Ravens defense was, I felt like teams feared what we did. Now, we are trying to get that back, but I mean, I don't think the Bengals fear our defense. I mean, I don't think the Steelers fear our defense. So those expectations, when it's in your own division, people kind of like, sweet, we play the Ravens. I think whatever expectations are put upon us, it doesn't really phase. I think it doesn't really phase his team. So to me, expectations are just a talking point, I guess, amongst the media.
That was, again, back in July. Quote, when I first got here, obviously the Ravens defense, I felt like teams feared what we did. I don't think the Bengals fear our defense. I don't think the Steelers fear our defense. I think you can add DeMeco Ryans' Texans to that list as well. Speaking of indictments, or in this press conference's case that I'm about to cut to, Kyle Van Noy's thoughts. Speaking of telling, speaking of perhaps revealing, Kyle Van Noy's comments post-game, I thought, without saying anything, actually said everything in terms of where this Ravens team is potentially internally right now as it relates to being present and as it relates to the message and the messaging that's coming across by John Harbaugh and his staff. Listen to Kyle Van Noy.
Messages that are coming from John or Zach or whomever aren't getting through in some way?
That's probably a question that's above my pay grade, probably. I think that's a Harbaugh and CEO question, to be honest. I think their messaging is fine, and we got to be the group to take that and go out and do the simple things right, the fundamentals, easy, basic stuff.
Accountability. Have you seen enough of that from the team after these losses, and what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll be able to answer that better after the week, to be honest. To just be blatant honest. I feel like there's accountability, but we'll see.
Oh, boy. That silence was deafening. That almost nervous tick rubbing his arms was really telling. And both of those answers were all of that and more. very telling and damning. First, on the messaging from coaches like John Harbaugh and Zach Orr, that's probably a question that's above my pay grade, essentially deferring to them. I think their messaging is fine. Not necessarily the most ringing endorsement out there from a veteran. And what about the accountability side of things after losses? Quote, I think I'll be able to answer that better after the week, to be honest. We'll see. Is the case not closed after hearing from Kyle Van Noy, who got up there, faced the music, answered these questions to the best of his ability? I know he hasn't been available for the last couple weeks. I know he has a podcast that maybe he'll clarify and get into more detail in terms of what he may have meant by these comments. I'm sure a lot of you will have those notifications on when he typically drops them tomorrow, or maybe he'll wait like both he and Marlon did. They waited 24 hours to drop theirs a week ago. But these, to me, are the final straw. These comments tell you everything I think you need to know. Let's play them back once more because I think they are that relevant to what's happening right now.
Messages that are coming from John or Zach or whomever aren't getting through in some way?
I'm that's probably a question that's above my pay grade probably. I think that's a Harbaugh and ZO question, to be honest. Like, I think their messaging is fine, and we got to be the group to take that and go out and do the simple things right, the fundamentals, easy, basic stuff.
Accountability. Have you seen enough of that from the team after these losses, and what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll be able to answer that better after the week, to be honest. To just be blatant honest. I feel like there's accountability, but we'll see.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
My goodness. Look, not to milk that clip, but there's a reason why I ran it back twice. That's almost, you can almost feel the inner conflict of not wanting to say anything that might be headline driving, but again, without saying it, right? He said everything without actually saying it. Would you agree? Ocean says Harbaugh thinks he's unfireable. That's the problem. Captain Hard writes, Kyle saying that is shocking because he's a certified vet. He knows players and coaches aren't even holding themselves and other people accountable. Thanks to Captain Hard for a couple super chats. Thanks to all of you guys for being with me on this Sunday evening. Buffalo and New England underway, Sunday Night Football. Bengals lose. Steelers are on the bye. Cleveland loses. It would have been a great day for the Ravens. And really, it's been a great few weeks had they taken care of business in the AFC North because it's wide open. Granted, Pittsburgh's playing good football, but I think you know what I mean. The AFC North is wide open, and Pittsburgh's about to take advantage of that. Now, just for a different perspective, these were Kyle Hamilton did not play, obviously, nor did he address the media because he did not play. But somebody who did play and did not have a lot of success out there is King Henry. And as he's often done throughout his personal struggles this year, and in general, wins and losses, he gets up there and meets with the media postgame. He was asked a very similar question to what Kyle Van Noy was asked. Is John Harbaugh and his staff still connecting, still resonating with those of you in the locker room? Derek's answer?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's easy to be like, turn your head the other way, but I'm not doing that. I think myself as a leader on this team, we got all the right guys to get it done. Like I said, we didn't display what we needed to today. Fix it, get ready for next week, start getting guys back that are injured right now, get back healthy, and we'll see what happens.
Wouldn't expect anything else from the King. Always says and does the right things. Obviously, Kyle's comments were a little bit different. Kurt Bankert making his comments very clear. He says the Ravens have a coaching problem. Now that the stud players are out of the lineup, it's even more glaring. Marcus Spears, contrarian perhaps, took the other angle. Somebody who knows a whole lot about cycling through head coaches, working through dysfunction as a fan, perhaps can add to this therapy session tonight. That is a friend of the program, diehard Jets fan, and one of the best YouTubers you will find out there across the National Football League in this creator space. And that's my friend Jake Asman, who joins me. The 0-5 Jets are somebody that, you know what, Jake? Aside from free agency over the years, the occasional coaching hire, you name it, for once, Ravens and Jets can commiserate with one another, and I don't know whether or not to be proud, ashamed, or somewhere in between. Great to have you on tonight, my friend.
Look, I'm just here to try and explain to you what it's like to do content around a team that doesn't win any games. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day. It's probably only going to be 1 year of this, and then the Ravens will go back to winning their 10-plus games a year and competing and all that. But I just want you to know I'm here if you need any advice. This was one of the worst days of my life between the Yankees being down 11-0 in a playoff game while having to then do a post-game show after the Jets, who somehow ended up as a favorite today against the Cowboys, became the only team in NFL history to start 0-5 and not have a turnover on defense through the first 5 games. So if you need any advice on covering bad football, I'm here for you, Bobby T, whatever you need.
Oh, my God. You know, you and I always talk about at our NFL events that we get together at, you know, a couple times a year. You're always like, if this is the year, this is what's going to take this freaking channel to the moon. And I'm always like, dude, you know, look, like I just don't have that problem. You know, we're relevant for 5-6 months a year, and it's a lot of fun, and there's never that worry. Now there is. This season is hanging on by a thread. The Jets, obviously, mathematically wise, hanging on by a thread. First-year head coach. What do you make as an outsider looking at this Ravens organization? One, do you think John Harbaugh would have a job tomorrow, like so many believe?
He'd have a job in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds. I'll tell you right now, if John Harbaugh was available, I would one and done Aaron Glenn in 2 seconds and make him the head coach of the Jets. Sometimes, look, I don't know enough about the Ravens like you do and your audience does, watching every snap of every game. From the outside perspective, Bobby, maybe they just need a new voice. Maybe there's just a lot of injuries, and it's just kind of one of those years. You do see that from time to time. The Niners had this season from hell last year. Here they are a year later. They're one of the best teams again in the NFL. Sometimes these things just happen. That said, Andy Reid got fired in Philadelphia. He then got a new job with the Chiefs right away. If John Harbaugh was ever available, he'd be unemployed for 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I agree. I definitely agree, even in the midst of this underperformance. And I do think that voice has grown old. I think it's grown stale. And as you know, not from a firsthand experience, because you've seen all of their first-round quarterbacks go on to have success, hopefully, if you're Zach Wilson, but have success in other areas, like we're watching with Sam Darnold in Seattle, and of course prior in Minnesota. There is this temporary window of time that I know this Ravens country right now understands that they have in Lamar. He is not 30 yet. He is somebody that is a generational player, and you wait and hope and pray for these kind of players to come around in your organization. It is year 8. And at some point, if you're Steve Bisciotti, the owner of this organization, you got to look at it as, man, this is a moment in time right now. And if we don't fully maximize the potential of Lamar and our team when Lamar is here, then what are we doing? It's a disservice ultimately to the fan base. And I'm sure you felt that more often than not over the course of your last 2 decades.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. You know, I do. It's one of those years it might be. But also, the AFC is just down in general right now. So maybe in other years you'd feel like, hey, 1-4, we're cooked. I don't know if I view that necessarily with the Ravens. They still have a lot of winnable games against teams in their own division. I know Pittsburgh is off to an incredible start. Their quarterback, I know Aaron Rodgers as well as anyone out there, he is still one hit away at age 41 from going down again. That's just the reality of a player that age. And even besides that, Cleveland, they're scrappy, but they're not a great team. There's winnable games there. Obviously, Cincinnati without Burrow is a completely different team. So the AFC is not great. I mean, I don't think this Houston team is particularly great either that was able to have a good showing against that banged-up Ravens team today. But the Ravens are kind of in it right now. I mean, you know it better than I, but I wouldn't give up on the season just yet because of how weird the AFC appears to be. And you still do have – I know Ravens fans don't like him seemingly right now, but I'm telling you, the outside perception, if Harbaugh was available, oh, my God, I would trade a first round pick to get him. Like that's like you have no idea what life is like when you root for teams that are coached by Todd Bowles or Adam Gase or Robert Saleh or Jeff Ulbrich and now Aaron Glenn. Like, believe me, you have it pretty good in Baltimore. I promise you.
All right. Thank you for the perspective. I know you got a shit ton of things going on, so appreciate you. Where can everybody find your work over the next couple of days? Should they want a little bit of a cleanse? I don't know.
If you want to hear an angry man scream at a bad football team, my YouTube channel talks about the Jets every day. I also host local sports talk on ESPN New York. So any of your audience happens to somehow be the random, Yankee Raven fan out there, the Ariel Epstein, if you will. If there's any more people like that in the Ravens fan base, you can hear me locally on ESPN New York.
You got it. I know I got some New Yorkers that live in there as well, and I'm just dropping your channel link into the live chat. Would love for you guys to go check out Jake's stuff. Miss you, brother. Appreciate you.
Miss you too, Bobby. Hang in there. I'm telling you, man, if you need any advice on bad football, I am your guy. All right?
All right, brother. I'll catch up with you. Jake Asman coming to everybody's defense in a sense, or coming to everybody's support, let's call it, knowing where the Ravens organization is right now. I know they're not stooping down to Jets country yet. But there's a reason why we're having this conversation right now. They're not 0-5. I don't think Cleveland is a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe a championship playoff defense. The other side of the football, not so much. Sunkissed 179Q says same excuses for the past 2 seasons. Attitude is reflective of leadership. Lamar has been carrying this team on both sides of the ball. Hope he's enjoying his rest. Clean house. Be More Vince says, please tell me there's no way Orr is still defensive coordinator next week. I think at the very least, that's where change can probably begin tomorrow. Promote Chuck Pagano. Ask Dean Pease if he'd be willing to come out of semi-retirement because he's a consultant now rather than being directly involved in their game planning defensively. Do something. Assuming that Steve Bisciotti will not pull the plug in season on the second longest tenured head coach in this league. C King says, initiate Order 66. Thanks to those of you for chiming in with some super chats. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. We'll get a quick read in, back to the guest lines, back to this defense, and back to John Harbaugh's clip that Fox 45 caught of him walking off the field, which feels significant. This feels a little bit different, does it not right now? Thanks to Preston. I've been driving around in my Bobby Baltimore Bronco the last 2 years. And guys, at PrestonMotor.com, I have a landing page that is directly linked in the live chat right now. A couple different offers and incentives out there for my Bobby Baltimoreans, my subscribers. One is you can cash in $500 towards a new or pre-owned vehicle if you let them know that I sent you. 2, you can buy 4 tires and receive 50% off your alignment if you let them know that I've sent you. You can contact Preston, any one of their dealerships, by clicking on this link. And again, there are a number of dealerships to choose from. Dover, Delaware, Randallstown, which is Preston Ford West and my home dealership when I'm in the area, Wilmington, Delaware, so on and so forth. You can also go check out the available inventory section where right now you have 3,443 vehicles to choose from. Continued thanks to Preston for the support. You can scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner right now if you're interested in learning more. That'll take you directly to the link and the site that I'm showing right now. Sunday Night Football underway from Buffalo. Let's get back to the Ravens content. There were several comments made by past and present players. In this case, 2 past players. Kurt Bankert, former NFL quarterback. The Ravens have a coaching problem. Now that the stud players are out of the lineup, it's even more glaring. Marcus Spears, former Raven, current ESPN analyst. So what coach y'all want, Ravens fans? Since I ain't shit for telling y'all have a good coach. I need names, not stories and soapboxes, calling out members of the Ravens fan base who are calling for change at the top. I guess you can add me to that list because I am ready. I am ready. Let's go to the guest lines to see if you are ready. Michael, it's been a minute, man. Where you been, brother? You got to be bent out of shape, don't you? Oh, it's a sad, sad story that even my man Michael, one of my most loyal guys out there, even he had to take a cleanse from my content, or at least a cleanse from calling in. I shouldn't drape too many allegations on him. Good to see you, my friend. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I've been ducked off, but I've been watching your channel still. But I had to chime in though. You know, I'm a hardball fan. But I must say, man, our fans are hard on our coaches, and I believe that's why Kyle said that's why the fans are spoiled. Because if you really look at it, just like Jake had said, if you want to go on a coaching carousel, we forget what that's like because we went from our one Super Bowl winning coach to Harbaugh without missing a beat. But if you look at a lot of the bottom of the barrel teams that's out there, they hire coach after coach after coach after coach. So unless we hit like we did on John Harbaugh the first time, and we go out there and end up with one of these other coaches that dropped the ball, we're gonna be sorry for a long time.
That could be the case. That could be the case. But they have an obligation. And when I say they, I mean the Ravens organization led by Steve Bisciotti. And what's that obligation, Michael? You know better than most as a diehard fan. Their obligation is you. Their obligation is the folks that fill those seats with their behinds. Their obligation is to those near and far from Baltimore who purchase merch, who purchase tickets, who keep the Baltimore economy running with visits, hotel stops, so on and so forth, who ultimately, I'm not talking to you, I'm just talking in general right now, who ultimately carve out time in their days on Sundays for 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 months of a year, year after year after year. And ultimately, they have an obligation to somebody that is universally now understood as the game's great, aside from everybody who's chasing Patrick Mahomes, right? Aside from today's Tom Brady, and that is Lamar Jackson. They have an obligation to Lamar Jackson. And they have, in a sense, failed him, failed this fan base, and really failed the Ravens' way by a number of different things, a number of different shortcomings. That could be team building from a roster construction standpoint with this offensive line. That could be not truly replacing the presence that was Michael Pierce after he retired. That could be not bringing in depth once Ardarius Washington went down with a brutal Achilles tear, right? And so as much as I absolutely hear what you're saying, Michael, that nothing is promised as soon as you let an extremely successful head coach walk out of your door, to me, the obligation of what they owe everybody that I just mentioned all throughout the organization and extended outside of the organization now has trumped the risk that you take, I think, in moving on from the second longest tenured head coach. That's where I'm at now.
I hear everything you're saying, and I agree with most of it. I just want to say, I guess out of everybody you named, you can't forget about the players, though, either, because they get paid to play this game as it is. And for things to end up how they are now, it's not just a coaching thing. The players aren't standing up either. And you talk about effort and everything else like that. If I'm getting paid to play the game I love, I'm actually going to give the effort that I need to at least somewhat. So this kind of slide that we've actually got, the players have to take some of that as well, you know?
Absolutely. And if you've been watching along the way, and I think you have based on what you just said, you know that for a long time, that is something that I have hung my hat on. I have stuck my neck out there and taken a lot of flack because of it. And I will continue to call out the lack of execution, the lack of fight, the lack of alignment, the lack of discipline, the lack of resilience. But at some point, and there shouldn't even be a but in there, because all of that still exists. And all of that is part of the equation. But at some point, you have got, I'm old enough to remember the Steelers game in the middle of that COVID season, Michael. They were injury riddled. They had a massive outbreak because of Steve Saunders, and maybe because of Steve Saunders. I don't know if there's actually any way of proving that, but he clearly was suspended for a reason. He did not follow the conduct we all remember in 2020. And they competed still. They didn't win, but they competed that day against the Steelers. I didn't see competition out there today. I didn't see competition in the second half in Kansas City. I didn't see competition at times defensively against Detroit. Offense wasn't the problem that day. That to me is an indictment against this head coach, an indictment against the framework, the way this team is structured right now. And that, to me, deserves to be mentioned even more so than the lack of execution. I appreciate you, brother. You're the man.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for calling. Yep. Guys, the guest lines are open. Obviously, I don't usually have these types of thoughts, right? But this is what it is when you grow. It is that definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is something that we've grown accustomed with. That's become all too familiar with this organization. More super chats are pouring in today. We've got over 1,400 concurrents at the moment. Thank you for being here. Evan is here as well. I'm glad you're back, Evan. You owe me a call back. Just kidding. You don't owe me anything, but I would love for you to call me back. Captain Hard says, Lamar being frustrated says a lot now. C King says, Michael, the only reason they're even getting paid is because of the fans. We have a right to be pissed when we're buying merch and tickets. C King also writes, I'm literally being ridiculed by Bills fans at this bar because of how much we suck. I'm wearing Ravens and I deserve this slander? Hearsay. C King, good luck out there. Be careful. Where the hell you at? Who's Dusty Kraka? Who the frick does this guy think he is, Dusty? Why don't you call your ass into the live chat if you're going to be talking in the live chat? How about it? Don't you know how this works? We already banned PKB, or else he could tell you how it works. He'll show you something. Hey, Dusty, you know that link that's pinned right now in the live chat? I got time for you tonight. Give me a call. Here's John Harbaugh exiting the field, courtesy of Morgan Adsit from Fox 45. And I'll go ahead and run this back with audio the second time through. But again, this feels significant. It's a new low in Baltimore. The clock is ticking. And it's time for change. Again, Morgan Adsit, Fox 45, with audio this time. Oh, man. Again, that's courtesy of Fox 45, Morgan Adsit. Again, take no joy in any of that. Maybe some of you guys do, but that's tough. That is tough to listen to. It's tough to watch. But ultimately, this is a results-driven business, and John Harbaugh's results consistently in recent seasons have not been good enough. He's been a tremendous regular season coach throughout his career. He will be a future Hall of Famer, I would think. He will be a future Ring of Honor honoree high atop M&T Bank Stadium, and is one of the most successful coaches, leadership figures in Baltimore sports history. But I think it's time for change. Tone writes, Bobby, is the season salvageable? Did you guys hear the vault earlier today? Sarah had a bunch of requests that need to go right in order for it to be, when I say salvageable, them to have a chance at turning this thing around. And do you know how many things she ripped off that she needed in terms of her requests? Now, some of them could absolutely come to fruition. Her point was like, hey, there's a lot of soft tissue injuries out there, for example. And I was like, okay, all right. Like, I hear what you're saying. Maybe there isn't that many outlandish requests. But my point to her was, and hers was just like, look, it's not to like guarantee that it's salvageable. It's to give them a chance at making this thing salvageable. So I get that. And Sarah usually listens to these live streams back through. So if you're watching, Sarah, hello, partner. How you doing? Even if those things that need to happen, Roquan returning, Ronnie returning, Marlon returning, you can go on and on and on. Kyle Hamilton's probably the most important from a defensive perspective. Even if all of those things happen, Zach Orr's demoted. Right? Key things that I think a lot of us feel like need to happen right now in order to get different results. Who's to say that if those changes are made, that the players that do have soft tissue injuries can be durable, and the players that aren't available right now are actually going to produce for you, because a lot of those players that I just named haven't really produced so far this season. Roquan has struggled aside from the Cleveland game. Marlon Humphrey has struggled. Maybe that's due to his health and the tough matchups and the degree of difficulty with this schedule. But you know what I'm getting at? I don't know. I really don't know how to answer this. Is it salvageable? I don't know. C King says, I live an hour from St. Pete. Well, what's going on, neighbor? Hope you're doing great. Joshua writes, these coaches aren't getting it done. What would be so bad about new coaches? Afraid they won't succeed? We're already there, so something has to give. Thanks, Josh. Captain Hard writes, got to find out if it's the players or coaches who are the problem. Have to move on from John. That's the only way to find out. A lot of reaction pouring in. The guest lines are busy right now. Let me just take a quick look to see if Dusty is down there. Dusty, if you have a code name down in my waiting room right now, raise your hand. Everybody down in the waiting room is looking back at me. I ain't Dusty. All right, good. Gable, you're on the program. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good to see you, man. Are you first-time caller?
First-time caller. I'm actually, I watch you guys all the time on the Vault. I'm actually down here in Atlanta, but I'm a Baltimore native, and I'm, been very, very disappointed with the product.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you called in. Let me ask you before I'm sure you have a number of thoughts. I'm going to pose everybody the same question right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe, based on the way that you choose to follow your team, do you believe that the plug should be pulled on John Harbaugh right now?
Right now, I don't know. See, here's the thing. I definitely think there needs to be a change. I'm not a big believer in firing head coaches mid-season.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think that it's very rarely does it get the outcome that people want. You know what I mean? There might have one or two games where the people feel motivated for a play caller or something like that. But I'm not really big on firing in season. I will say this though. There definitely needs to be a change. We can't keep on allowing certain stuff to happen when we have the talent that we have, and we see other organizations making big swings and going all in on certain things. And we're just for example, we've been very really really big on promoting it from within, coaching staff from within, and stuff like that. And it's apparent that Zach Orr isn't ready. I think he probably would be. He's still going to be a good coach. He was, a good linebackers coach and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like he's not ready. And I don't think the organization, other coaching staffs want to admit their fault in him. Where, you know what I mean? Where it's we can't keep on letting the same stuff fly with as much talent as we have.
How about this? Not to interrupt you.
No.
So I'm with you. I think the in-season coaching change is a really difficult thing to do, and I don't think Steve Bisciotti's going to do it.
Yeah.
What I think would help between now and the bye, or during the bye, is just allow Chuck Pagano to take over.
I agree. I think defensively, if there was a coaching switch within the game, I don't think the head coaching thing, I don't think really works as the way people think it was. If there was a defensive change and they did something like that where they allowed somebody experienced like Pagano to start calling the plays, I think that could have a good effect. However, here's the thing. I think if they're going to do that, they need to also take a swing and get another defensive player, like another D tackle or somebody like that too, because I feel like players will come back. Like Kyle Hamilton's going to come back. Marlon's going to come back, and that's going to help on the back end. But it seems like right now we're outmanned on the front end too. You know what I mean? With Washington down, with Matabike down, those are really, really, really big losses. So it's if we're going to make that type of move where we're going to, cut Orr and let Pagano coach and keep everything in, I think we still need to stay aggressive and try to get, another defensive player. It doesn't have to be a pass rusher. You know what I mean? Even though we're not getting a much pass rush, but if we have somebody that can kind of see, the thing last year, right? Going back to last year, is we were bad as a defense, but it was the back end, right? We still had a great run defense, and that's something that we had. Now it seems like they can do whatever they want.
Oh, they can do whatever. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can run on us, they can pass on us, they can do anything. And when you have that type of situation, it's really hard to stabilize your whole defense. You know?
Yeah. They had today they made the Texans look like they're a top 5 unit. And
do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
and
no pushback, regret. Like the whole playbook was open and it was working. So that's a very, very difficult thing to overcome. So it's like, again, it's like I think Pagano would be a good job. I remember when Pagano was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens when and I liked Pagano then.
Here's the news. Here's the deal too for everybody. Everybody that you don't want Pagano in the live chat. All right, great. You know who else you got on staff, guys? Who's a future DC in either in Baltimore or elsewhere in the league? Tyler Santucci. Okay, you've got multiple candidates. You don't want either one of those guys? Go ask Dean Pease. Hey, we need you to work more.
Yeah,
his family's not gonna like it, but we need you to work more.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if Dean Pease would. The other option, he at least has played. He's called plays before. Like he's called a defense before. You know what I mean? So I think that may be an option too. But it's like they do have options. But what they're doing now is not working. Like it doesn't even look competitive. It doesn't look like a recognizable product. You know what I mean? Like they're not. You're not generating pressure at all, but we're still not aggressive. We're not like a blitz happy defense. You know what I mean? Like our DBs sit there 8 to 10 yards and just kind of wait for stuff to happen. It's bad. You know what I mean? Like we're not generating turnovers. We're just not doing it doesn't look recognizable. It doesn't look recognizable to Ravens football. You know what I mean? Like we're not good at any area of that. So just there has to be some type of change. I don't think Harbaugh getting fired at the beginning of the year is going to be a thing or during the season, but I definitely think at the end of the year there has to be some type of change because again, we have talent on the offensive side of the ball right now, and every year that we waste, it's a wasted opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't expect teams like. I know it's a bad, the organization's not good right now, but Cincinnati has a lot of talent around them. Like, you know what I mean? They could make a change and flip a switch and we could be, that second team in the division now, you know what I mean? Or like some of those other young AFC teams. And we got to keep up and we just can't keep on doing this loyalty thing that's not really getting us anywhere. It's getting us 11 to 10, 12 wins a year and a first or second round exit.
Appreciate the call, dude. It was great to meet you. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Take care.
Catch up with you, man. Atlanta's finest right there, and Baltimorean at heart. Guys, the guest lines are open right now. Appreciate you for being with me. Who's first to score in the Bills-Patriots game? Nobody yet. Minute left in the first. Looks like Patriots are driving. I don't know. The TV's across the living room. We'll see. Another super chat's come in here from C King. John Doe said trade Lamar and build a defense. His opinion should follow suit after his namesake and remain unknown forevermore. Thank you, C King. An hour away from me in some Floridian bar getting after it on a Sunday. Any eligibles out there, C? All right, as you come in, guest lines, chronologically, as you came in. Brother, tell me how to pronounce your first name. Is it Asim?
Asim.
Excuse me. Asim, welcome into the program, my man. A lot of first-time callers tonight. What you got for us?
Yep. So I just heard the last guy. He said Dean Pease or Chuck Pagano. I don't even think one of them two. We need fresh eyes because they've been here before. And when they was here before, they didn't do that much better. Maybe Dean Pease a little bit. I think he won the Super Bowl with us. From 2012, did he win?
Was Dean on that staff? It's before my time of covering it. Let's see. Let's make sure we got it. Dean. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. He was a defensive coordinator of that team. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah. But he's older now, so he probably ain't going to want to do it. But, like fresh pair of eyes. Harbaugh, it's hard. It's a tough one. Getting rid of him during the season, no, it ain't going to happen. I live in Baltimore. It ain't happening. after the season, then we'll see. But like, the change definitely got to come now, man. It was sad watching it this day.
Sad, right? That's what it is. Imagine that. It's sad. Think about that. You got people that are leaving the bank in droves earlier today, and you got a team that's not fighting, that's not competing. That's what's crazy. There was no compete. That maybe is the biggest indictment in terms of where this team is right now, the way it's coached, the way that it's executing or lack thereof, and how they're fighting resiliency. Again, we've seen injury-riddled teams before throughout the John Harbaugh era go out there and lay it out on the line. You haven't seen that in recent weeks.
No. Well, shout out to you. I watch your channel and I watch Engraving. So shout out to y'all for doing y'all thing, man.
He's my man too. He's a great dude. And I think we're both in unison right now, unfortunately, in terms of what we think is next for this organization, which, again, we take no joy in whatsoever, but it is where it's at, and we got to call a spade a spade. So, Asim, thanks for the call, man.
No problem.
Absolutely. Baltimore local right there. Got to love it. Guest lines are alive and well. Appreciate you guys for spending some time with me tonight. Big audience, over 1,500 concurrents. If you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, perhaps consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Man, I'm looking down the waiting room. Maurice is looking like Keaton Mitchell the first 4 weeks. He's just kind of pacing back and forth, getting antsy, trying to come on the show. So I'm coming to him in just a bit. Juju, I see you. Adrian, I see you. And Julian, yes, I do. We got 2 Julians down there in the live chat right now. Is Juju short for Julian? I don't know. Let me know. Kevin's just entered in as well. But first, I want to play something from last Monday, because if this message is something that we hear tomorrow at 2:30 when John Harbaugh is set to meet with reporters, there's going to be an outcry. I mean, there's going to be an uproar because, again, at some point, this type of messaging, in this case from last Monday, this type of guarantee, almost a promise, hint, hint, related to the defense, is growing very, very old. Listen to this from just 6 days ago.
Defense and all of our guys, including Zach, our players, our coaches. I watch our guys every day. I watch how they work. I watch how well they coach. I'm in meetings. I watch the meetings. I know the schemes that we're running. I know the soundness of what we're doing. I understand who's, what we're up against, from week to week and play to play. Even in this game, this is a challenging game against, good offense. They were healthy. They got their guys back. And complementary football-wise, defense was put in some tough spots, field position-wise for sure. And I think that had something to do with it. We got some stops early in the red zone with some short fields, and then we didn't play as well in the red zone. They made a couple plays in there that they ended up getting touchdowns on. So, that's what you do. You believe in your people, and we have really good people and good players. I thought a lot of the young guys stepped up. They got their opportunities that had never played before, and went out there in that environment and played well. You look at the individual performances, there's a lot of really good things there. And the things that, when I watched the tape, I felt better watching the tape. I can tell you that, a lot better watching the tape than I did standing on the sideline watching the game. I felt like there was a lot of really good play going on, and I think the things that were issues were very definable, and also sometimes the result of some real tight plays being made by them, in some situations. So those are plays that we just got to start making, get some turnovers, knock some balls loose, get some TFLs, create some things. We were a step from getting a couple sacks at times. I thought Pat did a good job of getting the ball out a few times, things like that. So, we're not too far away on defense. I really feel confident that we're going to play really good defense this year. I really am, and I know the fans hear that, and I hope they have a little bit of confidence in us that we've been down this road before a little bit. We do need to get healthy for sure. That's an important part of it as well. But also play with the guys that we've gotten. Let's go play some good defense.
Again, coach speak, he's got to say it, but then you got to go back it up. And, oh, man, it's hard. It's hard to hear that 6 days ago. That was 6 days ago. I have confidence in all our guys, including Zach. We're not too far away on defense. I really feel confident that we're going to play really good defense this year. I know the fans hear that. I hope they have a little bit of confidence in us that we've been down this road before. Guys, I got news for you. They have not been down this road before. Have they, Maurice? Welcome into the program.
Good evening, Bobby. How you doing this evening?
Not as good as you, man. You're ready to get in the ring, I think.
Well, still trying to digest this loss. I don't know where to start, but one thing is for certain, this is my personal opinion, but it is safe to say that John Harbaugh's time here in Baltimore, in my personal opinion, it is just about up. It's like it was already bad enough that he has like a habit of blowing double-digit fourth-quarter leads. Although it doesn't seem to be the case during this game against Houston or Detroit. But for those who aren't aware, you see the pattern. It's like there's like a number of occasions to where he is blown like double-digit leads, nor he doesn't make any adjustments. Now, this may be off topic, but if you look at the Ravens back in the day, it's like they never had a habit of blowing double-digit leads. So to put in perspective, if you look at a Brian Billick-led Ravens team, they only let up 17 double-digit. No, excuse me. They haven't let up more than one second half lead. It only happened once. So, which was back in December of 04. That only happened one time under Brian Billick. Now, if you look at John Harbaugh, on the other hand, 17 double-digit leads blown, and of course, it's 17 seasons. I'm gonna be honest. You kind of had to scratch your head on that one. It's like, what's causing these double-digit leads to be blown, and what is disabling him from making adjustments necessary? Now, you can't use injuries as an excuse. It sucks not having Namdi out there, Calvin, or just returned from injury. It's like, if you look at this Ravens defense now, safe to say they have lost their identity. It hasn't been the same as it was a couple of years ago, like under Mike McDonald or under Wink Martindale. It's like they lack the physicality that they once had. And you can see the flaws. I'm sure everybody has. It's like it has been nothing but smoke and mirrors under John Harbaugh. And as you already know, fans are frustrated. I myself am frustrated as well. This team needs not only a coaching change, but it also needs a culture change. And everybody has called it out. For example, Rex Ryan has called it out. And even former players like Chris Canty or, Kadri Ismail, all of these guys, they see who the elephant in the room is. And the elephant in the room is John Harbaugh. This is just my personal opinion, but I hate to say it. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, but safe to say his time is up. That's just how I look at it. Now, it's like he had a good run here in Baltimore over the course of 17 seasons, but it is safe to say it is time to, cut him loose. But it is up to Eric DeCosta. It is up to Steve Bisciotti to make the change that is needed for this organization. But that's basically how I look at it. But only time will tell.
Yeah.
Only time will tell how things will go.
Yeah. Appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot for the call. And first time, too, I believe. So appreciate the support on here.
All right. No problem.
See you, man. Hang in there. It's going to be a long week going into week 6. Of course, the Rams will come to town 1 week from today, and then the Ravens will have a very, very early bye week. Juju, you're up next. Kevin, Adrian, Julian, all on deck as well. What's going on, dude? Well, thanks for holding. First of all, 2, you're muted, and 3, what you got for me tonight?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. Kind of frustrated, but it is what it is.
I was gonna say you're doing good, huh?
Kind of frustrated, but so what I don't hear a lot of people just talking about the talent that we have on the field. I don't care who we switch as a new coach. Who's going to help us rush the quarterback, man? Like, is Owe going to start all of a sudden getting to the quarterback? We had Namdi, we had Anabikwe playing, and he wasn't getting to the quarterback. So what kind of fantasy are we as fans living in that if we get a new head coach, that all of a sudden that we're going to start getting sacks and getting pressure on the quarterback? It's the players, man. We got to start looking at these players, man. John Harbaugh isn't the best, but he's one of the best that we have right now, man. Who are we going to get that's going to make these players play better defense and start rushing the quarterback, being in the positions they need to be? You know what I mean? Like
better drafting and development.
Right. Can we just
For-
say that? Can we
yeah.
can we say that maybe we didn't get as good? Maybe the scouting team for the draft for this year wasn't that good, man. Mike Green, I haven't heard his name. I haven't heard anybody say his name once.
Mike
Malik
hasn't
Smart-
popped in sacks, but he's showing something out there. It's just look, this is a group that
he was brought in. He was brought in as a pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
I don't hear his name. I don't.
Well,
man,
the problem is they're leaning on, and God, did they lean on these guys ever today? They're leaning on rookies that, I mean, are drinking from the fire hose immediately. Malachi Stark's playing a lot more high leverage than you would want him to do at this point in his young career. I get it. He's a first rounder. He's expected to come in and compete right away, but not to this extent. Then you got Mike Green, right? You got Teddy Buchanan. You got Keon Martin is playing out there as an undrafted rookie. And I like Keon. Had he not stepped offside today, that was an awesome tackle. That was an unbelievable tackle and great timing. And by the way, he's put on a couple really nice tackles on display. That shoestring on Xavier Worthy last week, that was pretty darn crafty.
Right.
But the reality is there isn't, and I think maybe this is what you're getting at. There isn't one thing. There isn't one scapegoat. There isn't one, right? John Harbaugh is at the top of all of this and has had his hand, of course, in all of this. But to your point, if you let him go tonight and you promote Monken, you promote Pagano, you bring somebody in, Rex, whatever, which they would never do, I don't think.
Right.
Then what is going to change 6 days from now?
What is going to change?
So that's a part of it. Now, just to be clear, because I came off the top of this program saying I am ready for change. To me, it's that could come at the end of the year. That could come at the bye, right? There's going to be a lot of potential coordinators that are garnering some serious interest and traction in this upcoming hiring cycle. I expect Brian Flores to be in that. I expect Zach Robinson to be in that down in Atlanta. I expect who else am I missing? There's several others out there, and so yes, you absolutely that's a part of it. The lack of execution, it's got to be better, especially from a pressure stand. Man, CJ Stroud had all the time in the world.
All the time in the world. Like, come on, man, you can get back there and have 20 seconds, look around and find somebody open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to get pressure, man. If that's not going to change, it's going to be the same old thing through the rest of the season. We got to get pressure, man.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, dude. Have a good night. It's going to be a long week. Everybody hang in there for what this week has in store coming up. Week 6 this season. Adrian, I know you got some thoughts on it. Welcome into the program. You're live.
How you doing, Bob? Hopefully you can hear me.
I can. Thanks for the call.
So I'm calmed down after today's game because, like you said earlier, it's a multiple things, but change has to be made. And it starts there with or. Then I say get rid of Harbaugh. Like right now, we should be looking at this season as see what we can salvage, but we have to plan for the future right now. Because I mentioned to you last week, Orr never felt like he was the guy. Last season, on the back half, but we have to look at that first half of the season and last season of this is basically what this defense was playing like, giving up all these points and easy respecting the wideouts and all that all the time. There was no fear. There was nothing there. So to me, I'm all for it needs to be just a clean slate. And it's not saying, I hate Harbaugh or whatnot. I'll respect for what you've done, but it's just everything has gone stale. There's no dogs there. And the one thing I can usually say is whether win or loss, there was a fight. There was a bite to the Ravens. Now I don't see this. My wife, who became a Ravens fan, doesn't even see this. Yeah. We're supposed to be at the game next week, and we're like, is it even worth going?
Yeah. And guess what, Adrian? I'm pretty sure 15,000 plus people made that exact business decision that you and your missus are contemplating right now going into today.
It's a sad thing because we're coming from an hour plus with the traffic to see them. Yeah. Like this is become a yearly thing, and we love the Ravens. We love what they stand for. But to me, with Harbaugh, it's not even like you're seeing what's the issue. And I understand coach talk or whatnot, but it's almost like you're gaslighting the fans of not respecting their intelligence of saying, like, look, let's just call it what it is. We are playing like ass. It has been belt to ass all season long. And I got to look myself in the mirror hard. And I got to look at each and every one of the other players too. Guess what? Injuries happen all throughout. But the least that we can do is fight. And nobody's giving a damn. And I have to really look at everybody in this locker room.
Thanks for the call, dude. I know you got a lot to consider over the next week or so. Hang in there. I appreciate the call tonight.
Good night, man.
Adrian, kind enough to spend a few minutes with me. Oh, the vaultpod.com/shop is on full display. Julian, talk to me.
Bobby, I tell you, I watched two plays of that game when that game was going on. I said, if the Texans score 17, I'm done. And lo and behold, they score 17. And then turn it off, and then I'm following it on ESPN, and then next thing you know, 24-3. Next thing you know, the third quarter comes in, then it's like 30-3. Then it's the points keep piling up, and it's just like, it just sucks the life out of you, man. And it's like, what's the point? If they don't care, why the hell should we care at this point? You know? And like you said, we've all been talking about Harbaugh. The man has lost the locker room. I've said it like countless times. He's lost the locker room. He's been lost the locker room, and his words don't have any merit anymore. It never did. And it really showed when the fans were booing him. And my homeboy, he called me from the stadium, and he was down there, and he heard the boos, and they were really, really loud, and it was deafening. And I think I saw one guy flipped him off or something like that. I don't know if he's seen it, but it was like, yeah, it was really, really, really telling. But yeah, it's about that time. Whether it's him, whether it's Orr, I think more likely it's probably going to be Orr. He probably get demoted or something. But something has got to change, because you can't keep letting this shit keep going on for too long, man. Like, us as fans, we deserve better than this. Just the half-empty stadium that you saw down there today was just telling. But then I would say some of the fans need to start, like, not even going to the games anymore. Like, at this point, just save
It's
yourself the
below rock
heartbreaks.
bottom, man. It's
Yeah,
below
it's
rock
the
bottom.
lowest that we've ever been. I mean, 2021, yeah, we had our injury season that year, but it's like, you know, at least we fought hard. At least we fought in some of those games that we had. I mean, we didn't win a lot of them, but you know, we showed some heart. We fought. This team just lackadaisical. They just let the other opposition do whatever they want, however they want, and it's just they just running up the score on every single down. And it's just like, that's not Ravens football that I remember watching. And for me as a fan, I've been a fan of this team since what, 2000. I've never seen them look this bad. I've seen a lot of seasons where they had bad seasons, but this is just next level atrocity bad.
Yeah.
For me, and that's telling. And I'm trying to hang in there, but it's testing my fandom right now. It's testing me. But
I think a lot of people can relate to that, brother. Appreciate the
yeah.
call, man. I'll
All right,
catch up
Bobby,
with
I
you
see
soon.
you.
Yep, thanks, Jewel. Guest lines are cooking tonight, as you expected. Deet, I see you. Big Raj, I see you. C Iron, you're up next, baby. C_Iron, talk to us tonight. You're on mute at the moment, so get yourself unmuted. My man's outside. What's going on tonight?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm at work, man. This is asinine. If we sit back and we look at the history of the Baltimore Ravens, right, we have been known by our defense. Granted, Harbaugh never picked any of those defensive players because we know Harbaugh likes the soft-spoken, do-your-job kind of guys. Let's stop with the semantics. EDC had 10 draft picks since he's been in office, and this is the depth of product. Yes, we do have decent depth, but what we are missing is that presence on the defensive line, one, linebacker presence on the edge, one. And these are all things the fans have been saying from the beginning. I'm a PSL holder. I missed the game today.
Intentionally?
Because it made no sense to go. We don't have a defensive line. Our offensive line's been horrible for the past 4 years. What changes are we really making to become better? None.
Well, so that's where we get to where we are right now, right? They can make changes to attempt to get better and right this ship, right? But it's not happening overnight.
No.
I think the first and easiest one could be either promoting Santucci, Pagano, Pease, whoever you want, and allow Zach to stay within the organization, allow him to continue to learn and build and master what is very difficult. There's only 32 of them in the world, defensive coordinators. He was the youngest one at the time of his hire at 32.
With no experience.
With no experience. He had a lot of great playing experience, obviously. At UDFA. His career ended abruptly and tragically. He went on to coach in John's system for a little while, was a tremendous inside linebackers coach for them. I believe he went off to Jacksonville for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say that was under Doug Peterson, but don't quote me on that. And then they brought him back to Baltimore. So like that's one thing that can happen. Then in the other world of change, you got to get a little bit of luck and fortune from an availability standpoint. And because a lot of these are soft tissue outside Nnamdi Madubuike, maybe you'll get some back by week 8. But to think that you're going to have a different roster 6 days from now, 7 days from now is outlandish. It's far-fetched. Continue. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And this goes back to the decision making by the front office. We could sit here, we could blame Zach Orr, but we didn't put him in power. We wanted Mike McDonald to be head coach. As a PSO holder, us having our discussions, we actually wanted Mike McDonald before he went off to Seattle. Like, you know what, John, just step down, let Mike take over, and then we could be off to the races. Because I think Mike has a better eye for talent in this day and era. As you know, as Ravens fans, we have particular body types that we like. We like the long, lanky, that heavy nose tackle, a mid-sized defensive end for speed, quote unquote, that doesn't collapse the pocket in today's NFL. You need big, nasty, mean people on these lines to actually protect your valuable asset in a quarterback who's getting $75 million, to help Roquan, who's getting $100 million, to help your DBs, who's getting $100 million. So you're paying all of the other positions, the specialty positions, which is perfectly fine. That just means you got to be smart in who you are picking. You got to be smart on who you're picking. So this falls back onto the coaching philosophy of, okay, well, we want guys who are agreeable, who will follow the code. We don't want the guys who have that attitude, that anger, like the Ray that we drafted, like the Ed that we had. Free agent, Elvis Dumerville, we pick up that tenacious side. No, Adafe always sounds like he's chewing marshmallows.
Adafe was quoted for saying earlier in the offseason or at some point, we just got to convince ourselves that we're good enough. That's on top of, and by the way, what's your first name?
My first name is Chance, but I just go by CR.
So Chance, that's on top of Marlon's comments that I've already cut to. I've played that ad nauseum so far in terms of not being feared the way they once were.
Who are we to be feared besides an offense?
Well, he's telling the truth, but it's a problem that he's got to. That's the truth. That's a hard truth. But I think the best way to summarize this, Chance, and maybe this kind of puts your take here fully in a basket. They have failed at building the trenches. That comes down to roster construction. That comes down to player evaluation. Development. And maybe I don't. It's always hard to go down this slippery slope, but just being that they had issues in the past with their strength and conditioning department, I wonder if a part of that is in play here as well, because there are a shit ton of soft tissue injuries on all three phases right now.
I think that goes back to the way that people practice. As of playing the sport, you go through the callousing, as we know Harbaugh likes to say, of repetition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with callousing, it takes hard work. It takes effort. You're going to get hit. You're going to get banged. You're going to get bruised. That's how you callous.
Yeah.
But we are starting to become a finesse team. We're not a finesse team. We are supposed to be hard hitting, regardless of what, no matter what the score is. But you see the players in the face, they kind of give up because I think Mike Tomlin said it the best. We know how to deal with the Ravens. You put them in a tough spot, they'll fold. They'll fold. They'll fold. And it happens every year.
It was something about burning the house down. It was Patrick Peterson's quote on a podcast. That was a couple years ago. I remember tweeting that out.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back and get the quote. I'm sure somebody can cue it up in the live chat. But Chance, thanks for the call, man. Really appreciate it.
Salute. Everybody have a great night.
Absolutely, dude. Enjoy it. Thanks for the time tonight. I love first-time callers, man. There's a shit ton of them tonight. That's awesome. Sea King's about to be in here in just a bit. But Adit and Big Raj first. Guys, big show. Over 1,800 concurrents at the moment. If you could like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You guys know the drill. Captain Hard writes, he has a point, referring to Chance, I believe. If it wasn't for Ozzie drafting Lamar, this organization would be bad. I mean, Lamar's rookie contract, EDC, didn't do anything. He waited. I think we will always look back on Lamar's rookie window not being fully capitalized on when it comes to spending, team building, and ultimately executing. Adit, what's going on, dude? It's been a minute.
Yeah. So I just want to first say I've been an Orioles fan since the Angelos has ran the team. So whatever the Ravens are going through, I've been through a heck of a lot worse. So let's start off with that. For midseason change, I would say probably someone like Zach, like a defensive coordinator switch. You kind of mentioned his name, Tyler Santucci. Really interesting that they brought in someone with extensive defensive coordinator experience. Yep. It's interesting that because he struggled obviously the first year, last year, that you bring in Chuck Pagano. But not only that, Bobby, not only did they go with an older guy with experience, they went with a modern guy with experience. And I think that gives them the option. As for Harbaugh, I don't think you let go of him in midseason. But I will say my thoughts are you don't coach for 17 years and have only 2 losing seasons and not be a bad coach and not be a good coach. That being said, he's coached for 17 years. That means he is closer to the end of his coaching career. That means I think he's more of a big picture guy, not the day-to-day game management. So I would consider moving on from him, maybe putting him more in a front office role. And I'm going to give a prediction here. And I know a lot of people suggest Jesse Minter and his name. It just seems like that's going to be the guy they target. Someone that knows the Ravens way. And not only that, but it's also versed in the modern way of thinking, kind of pushing forward the things that Harbaugh's taught, the good, but also modernizing the areas where Harbaugh has been outdated.
You mentioned Jesse Minter, and you're right. There's been a lot of talk about that in some NFL, let's call it creator and media circles online. Right now, he's the defensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh in LA, as you know. Prior to that, he was Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator at Michigan. And then, of course, Jim left for the NFL and he went with him. Prior to that, he was the DC and safeties coach at Vanderbilt. And prior to that, he was in Baltimore. So there is a familiarity with him. He is 42 years old. That would probably fit the mold of what Steve Bisciotti might be looking at. By the way, you mentioned Tyler Santucci. Many have, including myself, throughout this live stream. Tyler is 37. He's currently the linebackers coach. And I'm just talking about this not for head coaching purposes, but for potential promotions, a promotion, I should say, to defensive coordinator. Last year, he was the DC at Georgia Tech. Prior to that,
or
he
Duke. Wasn't it Duke? No, I think
prior to that, it was Duke.
Okay.
He was at Georgia Tech for just a lone year, just 1 year, 24. Prior to that, he was at Duke. And then prior to that, he was at A&M. I mean, he's been all over the place. You know how it goes for these young coaches. So that's somebody they strategically, you would think, brought in that they feel like they at least have a vision for should they ever need it. He is somebody that is on staff. And I get it. I'm seeing the Brian Flores names out there. I've been hearing about the Zach Robinsons. Everybody wants the Rex Ryan to come back. Not if John Harbaugh's
They interviewed
here.
Zach Robinson for OC.
Thank you. They interviewed Dave Canales, who went on to be a head coach. He's with Carolina now. So there's a lot of – there are going to be, as there always is this time of year with how many up-and-coming people there are going to be many hot names that are available in the hiring cycle. I probably am with you in the sense that it would be best to just make a change right now at DC. But if they put out an effort like they did today, again, leading into the bye, dude, we're not in the locker room, but I don't know how anybody can sit here and confidently say that he's got a pulse for that locker room right now.
Yeah, and I'll just end with this. Like you were talking about Zach Orr, when he was at Jacksonville, and you were asking about whether he was with Doug Peterson. He was with Ohio State coach or Urban Meyer.
Oh, thank you.
So the year after
what
that,
a time that must have been.
Yeah, the year after that was Doug Peterson.
Thank you. Yeah, what a time that must have been there, huh, for Zach in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Holy hell. Adi, thanks for the call, dude. I'll catch you.
No problem. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. Are we caught up on Super Chats? Yes, we are for the time being. Thank you guys for being with me tonight. Sunday Night Football is tied at 3 in the waning moments of the first half in Buffalo. It's Patriots-Bills. Big Raj, you've been waiting for a while. Good to see you, dude. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Bobby? Haven't talked to you since the last time you was on our show.
I was gonna say it's been a minute. I got to think you're licking your wounds tonight,
bro. Is we did our show earlier, man. I got a lot off of my chest.
Yeah,
with this loss.
Well, what else you got on
it? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm going to the game next week. I will be there. I don't know what to really say, man, about this team. Going into the season, I thought this was going to be a team that, had a Super Bowl aspirations, had a chance to do some things positively, and like everything is just going backwards. Everything is going haywire, and it's just we're not in a good way right now, and I'm not sure how they fix it. I'm not sure if Harbaugh is going to get fired. I'm not sure DC is going to be let go next week. Well, not next week. Well, yeah, next week. I'm not sure. It's just like it's in limbo right now as far as this season is concerned.
Listen to you right now. Like it's what Dan Orlovsky referred to as and I don't mean anything by this, but like you're broken right now as a fan. I think a lot of people feel that way because what the Ravens are putting on tape for weeks now, it's unacceptable. It's below standard. It's below all expectations. And while they're staring at a tremendous amount of adversity from an availability standpoint, at some point, you have to find some level of fight, some level of want to, some level of desire. And you're just not seeing that right now. And that's what I think is making these calls louder and more significant than they ever have before throughout this last several year run where John has been under fire at times, because there's a belief, and maybe even a damn near universal belief, that he no longer has control, connection, a receptive locker room. And that's probably the biggest indictment of them all.
Are you still going to Miami?
I have. Well, first of all, it would be nothing related to if they continue to scuffle. A trip to Miami is worth it. It's nothing about the win-loss record or where they're at right now.
Most definitely,
it's about logistics. So no concrete plans yet. What about you?
Yeah, I'm still slated to go and be more around town. So
okay. You know what you told me that when I popped on earlier, didn't you?
Yep. I will be there.
All right, man. Well, I'm sure there's other people that are in the same boat that they still want to, go to Miami as most would. But yeah, I just haven't committed yet.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like I said before, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I ain't gonna lie to you, Bobby. Last week I did say that because I went to the Lions game. I was there for the Lions game. I know you was there for the Lions game. Yeah. And going into the atmosphere, I was saying that I wasn't feeling it. I mean, it was live. It was cool. It was the same thing, but watching the team, watching the body language, watching Lamar's reactions, watching the defense play. I'm like, man, I don't think this is fixable. Like last year, they was able to fix it. Last year, they was going on a roll, and they found their niche. This year, I didn't see it, man. I didn't see it at all, and I didn't have a good feeling from there, and it's spiraling. It's just going out of control now.
It is. It's spiraling.
It's to the point where John Harbaugh he can say whatever he want. I think he's lost the entire locker room. I think the players are fed up with him. He's very stubborn. Keaton Mitchell not being active the first 4 weeks is crazy. I mean, he's your third running back. He should be playing. It's just little things it's the little things that get this team. And right now, his message is stale. Zach Orr, I love the guy. He's with the team since 2014, 2015-ish as a player and as a coach behind the scenes. I think he was forced out to be the defensive coordinator when he didn't really need to be just yet. He's 30, 32, 33 years old.
33, yeah.
I think he needed maybe to go to college for a couple years, get his defensive coordinating, acquisition up that way, and then come back to the NFL and do it then. But yeah, I just think they did a lot of things backwards for real. I mean, I think they had the right intentions. You know what I'm saying? They had the right intentions.
Always.
Yeah. But they just didn't build it correctly. They didn't build it the right way. You have to start in the trenches. Like everybody said, you have to start in the trenches. Yeah. And we thought the offensive line was cool. We thought it was good last year. They just, put Voorhees at the left guard spot. Everybody else is the same. And it just didn't go that way. It just didn't go the way that everybody thought it was going to go.
And now they're paying the price, man. They're paying the price. They're burnt toast right now through 5 weeks. They're hanging on by a thread. And now a very hungry Rams team off a mini bye, by the way, will be coming to Baltimore. Yes, that's cross-country travel. I get it. They're coming on the West Coast, the East Coast, but you better believe what happened.
They're an angry team as well. They lost last week.
They're angry. They were embarrassed by San Francisco, even though I think Mac Jones is going to get a chance to start somewhere again in this league. That's what happens when you go to Kyle Shanahan's world. if you're a cast off and you're a quarterback and you go to Kyle Shanahan country, you're probably going to resurrect your career, and he's getting a chance to do that. So, Raj, great catching up, man. Thanks again for calling in.
Great catching up with you too, Bobby.
Later,
yeah, we got. It's gonna be a long road ahead, but I think next season, they're gonna have to make a lot of changes, and they're gonna have to start from within.
Yeah. Enjoy Miami, man. I'll catch up with you.
All right, brother.
Big Raj. I'm sure you guys have caught his show from time to time, maybe in the YouTube space. I was on it a couple weeks back. Kobe Pruitt coming to you in a second here. See, if I'm EDC and I hear my head coach say our defensive coordinator is not the problem and asking the fan base and media to not believe our lying eyes, then I'd have to wonder if everyone has to go, because that is delusional. John Harbaugh. What's Kobe referring to? These right here.
Consider changes on the with Zach or the defensive staff.
Yeah, you try to do the most productive things, and I do not think that that's the answer. So we got to go to work is what we need to do. We need to stick together is what we need to do, and we need to find ourselves. And it has to do with coaches and players together.
Kobe also writes, feels like Harbs has survived this long because his best skill set as a coach is self-preservation. He obviously has the ear of the owner, and there is always someone to blame for why he didn't get it done. Again, speaking with conviction. Appreciate you, KP, for being here tonight. Thanks to everybody for popping in, whether it was through super chats, guest call-in access, whatever it might have been. But you heard the man. John Harbaugh did not stutter tonight. I do not think that's the answer. Referring to Zach Orr's candidacy right now as defensive coordinator, or should I say, what's the right word I'm looking for? Job security, not candidacy. Job security. C. King, welcome in. You are live. Thank you for holding. It's good to see you, brother. What's going on?
What's up, man?
You doing all right? You doing all right?
No, I'm not, because this team's not doing all right. So,
oh no,
man. I like I said earlier, I was at this bar, and these Bills fans, like, I saw them when they walked in.
Wait. I saw them. Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, what's up?
This is the most important part of the whole thing. Any eligibles over there?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
What was going on?
I mean, my favorite bar. It's not my favorite bar, but the Ruby Tuesdays here. They got buy one get one free drinks all the time, like all year. It's crazy.
You're an hour away from me right now.
Yeah, I live in Brooksville, Florida. I think I'm like an hour and 6 minutes from you.
All right, good to know. Good to know. All right, continue.
But yeah, I was sitting at the bar and I looked over and it was like 4 of them. They were wearing like Bills jerseys and shit. And they were looking around the bar and they looked at me and then they came and all sat around me and they were like, "Oh, so what's up with the Ravens, man?" And like they just wouldn't leave me alone. I was just trying to enjoy.
Well, let me get a live score update here. 53 seconds left in the first half. It's 3-3. I mean, you're not able to put up points against the Patriots? Come on, it's the AFC East.
That's very telling.
Yeah,
I don't believe in the Bills.
Oh man. Hey, welcome Steve Loop into the live chat right now, father of Tyler. Steve, great to have you here with us. And C King, finish your thought there for us. What's your final thought on the night?
My final thought on the night is that I will forever curse the NFL for giving us this schedule right off the bat. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's the second year in a row that we opened up the season with the team that beat us out of the playoffs.
Yes, because that would be Kansas City the year prior. Yeah.
And then Bills.
That
can't be a coincidence. Yeah. I don't know. That's my final thought. And also, it's
look,
pretty
you
cool.
You earned the schedule, though. Like, you earned the
do.
schedule that they were given. Now,
we good.
It's a murderer's row 6 weeks. We've known that since May when this thing came out. We didn't know that they would have complete unavailability through a chunk of those weeks. The same exact problem, which has become their Achilles heel, plaguing them, whether it be defense or coughing up big leads. We didn't know those things would carry over, but they did. And so it's been a perfect storm on top of a first place schedule, to your point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We got like 9 Pro Bowlers out or something. That's crazy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts.
You're the man. Yeah. Appreciate you calling in. All the super chats. That never goes unnoticed. It's good to finally meet you.
Right on, dude.
All right, man. Brooksville, right around the corner. I love it. That's good stuff. KP also says we need to go to work. It's a drinking game. I'm tipsy. How long you been drinking? For weeks now? Because we've been hearing that over and over and over again. KP, you are the man. Appreciate you. Guys, the Discord server has been buzzing tonight, as you would expect, as everybody tries to figure out how to contemplate, how to process what's happening in Baltimore. I would love for you guys to join. Right now, there is a pinned comment in the live chat. If you're interested in joining the Discord server, it is free to do so. Click on the link that right now is a pinned comment. We have 972 members. We're coming up on that number. Welcome to Devin. Welcome to Perfect and AJ and Intro Vince and a number of other folks. We talk Ravens football. Look at this. It's buzzing tonight. It's been buzzing all day long. Baseball and hockey's getting underway. Baseball's coming to an end. Well, at least postseason's getting underway. Maryland athletics across the board. My dating life in Bobby After Dark. There's a lot going on there. I hope you'll join it. Again, it's free. It won't always be, but would love for you to join. The link is in the pinned comment right now in the live chat. Captain Hard says, tell that to Buffalo's schedule. Yeah, they've had a cakewalk, much like it is tonight, or should be. I get it's in division. I get it. It's an in-division opponent, but the AFC East has been real soft, Jarman soft in recent seasons, particularly last year during Josh Allen's MVP season. Okay, everybody. A lot of guest lines tonight, a lot of interest, a lot of intrigue. I appreciate you guys, as always, for dropping by the program. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support. If you guys are in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, scan the QR code that you see in the upper right-hand corner. ProfitX.co, using code BobbyB, BOBBYB, gets you up to $200 in potential ProfitX cash. Appreciate all of them. Sarah and I will be back at noon tomorrow for a day after reaction. John Harbaugh, I think at 2:30 tomorrow, meets with reporters. I'll have a lot of thoughts and coverage after that. We will go live all day coming up tomorrow. And then, of course, Tuesday, be very interesting to get Jeff Zrebeck's thoughts on this, being that he's been covering the team for multiple decades. Cole Jackson, Ravens Collective, 8 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday. Like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Would mean a lot. I appreciate you guys for spending some time with me tonight. Looks like we got a new Discord member as well. We're up to 974. Thanks to Tweezy. Thanks to U-Rock. What's up, U-Rock? I recognize that name in the chat. Thanks, guys, for joining. Coming up on 1,000. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. You know the drill, inside the vault. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of Sunday Night Football. Catch up with you tomorrow.